Framber Valdez didn't just throw a no-hitter. He made trade deadline day feel like a warning. I'm Kevin. This is Sports Lab 100, and this is Astro 55. Framber Valdez. August 1st, 2023, Astros over Guardians 2-0. I'm documenting one game per player until I reach 100. Today's idea is pretty simple. Sometimes the ace doesn't need noise. Sometimes he doesn't need a huge offensive night. Sometimes he doesn't even need the bullpen to stand up. He just takes the baseball, turns the game into a ground ball machine, and quietly removes the other team from the proceedings. This wasn't a random Tuesday for the Astros. August 1, 2023 was trade deadline day. Houston's the defending World Series champion, but the season had been more annoying than dominant. The Rangers, they made their move. The Mariners were still hanging around, and the Astros, they were still pretty good, obviously. They weren't cruising, though. They're in that strange defending champion zone where everybody still respects them, but also everybody's also waiting to see if this is the year that they're going to start breaking. Earlier that day, Houston brought Justin Verlander back. So the whole day I already had that old Astros feeling. Oh, you thought they were done? You thought the window was closing? That's adorable. Here comes the old ace walking back through the door. And then the current ace went out that night and threw a no-hitter. That's the context. The Astros didn't win this game 11-2. They didn't spend the night announcing themselves with moonshots. They won 2-0 on 2 runs in the third inning. The rest of the game was just Framber deciding Cleveland wasn't going to have a normal offensive experience. The Guardians came in at 53-55, and they weren't dead because the 2023 AL Central wasn't peak Roman Empire, but they were drifting. Cleveland was still Cleveland. Contact, defense, pitching, irritation. You don't always get a clean night against them because they put the ball in play and they make you execute. Valdez made them execute into nothing. So Framber Valdez is one of the stranger great pitcher stories in modern Astros history because he doesn't really fit the clean prospect myth. He was born in Sabana Grande del Palenque in the Dominican Republic. I don't think I said that right. He signed late. The Astros signed him in 2015 when he was already 21 years old for a bonus that's been reported at $10,000. It's not a coronation. That's a flyer. He reached the majors in 2018, and early Framber was not smooth Framber. The stuff was there, but the control wasn't. The emotion wasn't contained. The outing could turn sideways quickly. For a lot of pitchers, that becomes a scouting report obituary. Nasty sinker, nasty curve, just never knew where it was going. But Valdez became more than just stuff. The key with him has always been the combination of physical violence and emotional management. The sinker's heavy, the curveball is just rude. The changeup gives him another lane. When he's right, hitters don't lift it. They beat it into the ground. They roll over, they look annoyed, and they spend the night doing chores. But the bigger development was between pitches. Valdez had talked over the years about using breathing and focus work, and about learning how to control the game inside himself before controlling the game on the mound. That's not fluff with him. That's the difference between a talented arm and a top-of-the-rotation starter. By 2020, he'd broken through, and by 2021, he was no longer a curiosity. In 2022, he became one of the best starting pitchers in baseball. 201 in the third innings, 2.82 earned run average, an all-star season, and a 5th-place Cy Young finish. That a huge postseason for a World Series champion. He wasn't just part of the Astros pitching machine. For stretches there, he was the machine. By August of 2023, that mattered because Houston's rotation had been beat up. LMJ and Luis Garcia, they were out. Jose Urquidy had missed time. Kristen Javier was uneven. Hunter Brown and JP France were throwing real innings. Verlander coming back was the day's headline, but Valdez was still the proof that Houston had an ace already there. And also, there's something funny about the Astros becoming the no-hitter franchise. That's not normally how people talk about a franchise. You can be a power franchise, a bullpen franchise, chaos, a cursed franchise, a franchise whose fans say, please stop wearing those uniforms. For the Astros, for a while there, they're just collecting no-hitters like bobbleheads. Combined no-hitter at Yankee Stadium, combined no-hitter in the World Series, Verlander no-hitters, Ronel Blanco later, Framber here. Became this weird Houston side quest. Win division titles, anger the internet, develop pitchers, and occasionally erase an entire lineup from the hit column. It's a very specific brand. The game itself starts quietly because no-hitters don't usually introduce themselves. Valdez works the first inning. Nothing. He works the second. Nothing. Cleveland isn't striking out every 2 seconds. That makes it a little more tense. They're making contact, but it's Valdez contact. So Framber Valdez is a ground ball pitcher. You're getting grounders, soft stuff, bad angles, defensive routine plays. Houston gets the only offense it needs in the third. Jose Altuve and Jeremy Pena get aboard. Gavin Williams uncorks a wild pitch. And then Kyle Tucker drops a soft single in the center. Altuve and Pena both come around to score. And that's it. That's the game. 2 runs. On most nights, that could feel thin. On this night, starts feeling like a luxury. From there, Valdez keeps moving. The Guardians don't get into many deep counts. They don't get any sustained stress. Oscar Gonzalez walks to lead off the 5th. The perfect game is gone, and the inning has a crack in it. Then Valdez gets the double play. That's the whole Framber experience in one sequence. Fine. You may stand on first base for a moment. Please enjoy your temporary lodging. Now return to the dugout. So Framber faces the minimum anyways, and that's the stat that makes this game feel clean. It's not just a no-hitter. It's not even just a one-walk no-hitter. It's 27 batters faced, no wasted drama, no pile of stranded runners, no constant escape act. The only base runner gets erased, and the game goes back to being Framber's private property. By the 6th, the pitch count is absurdly low. By the 7th, it's real, and by the 8th, Minute Maid knows what it's watching. In the 9th, Dusty Baker doesn't overmanage. Ryan Presley exists. The bullpen exists. But this is Framber's game. Gabriel Arias grounds out. Miles Straw flies out. Cam Gallagher comes up as the final hitter, and he lines one softly to Jeremy Pena. That's it. No hit, no chaos, no final circus catch, just a soft liner to short, a glove closing, and Framber Valdez getting mobbed by the Astros while fireworks go off around them. Pretty cool. The post-game reaction had the right tone because everybody understood this is not just dominance. It was efficiency. Dusty Baker talked about Valdez's concentration being at a superior level. That's the perfect phrase for this game because it wasn't wild dominance. It wasn't Nolan Ryan throwing lightning at people till the room caught fire. It was controlled dominance. Valdez said afterward that he'd had some rough starts before this one and that the focus was getting back to who he'd been. He also talked about throwing strikes without fear, with the curveball, changeup, sinker, everything working. And that matters because he'd had a 7.00 earned run average over his previous 5 starts. So this wasn't a hot streak. This was a correction. This was a great pitcher putting his hand on the wheel and saying, no, we're going this way now. And Martin Maldonado deserves a real mention here too. He caught the game. And by then, Maldonado had become almost folkloric Astros figure. Not a great hitter, but a catcher trusted by elite pitchers in elite moments. He caught this no-hitter. He handled the rhythm. He knew that by the 6th that Framber had a real shot. The battery was Dominican too. Valdez and Maldonado making Astros history together. The game lasted 2 hours and 6 minutes. That's it. After this game, Houston's season still had plenty of turbulence left. The Astros finished 70-92. The Astros finished 90-72, tied with Texas, and won the AL West on the head-to-head tiebreaker. They got the bye. They beat Minnesota in the division series. Then their season ended in the ALCS against the Rangers. Still nasty. Houston wins the division over Texas and gets home field advantage, and then loses every home game in the ALCS. Cleveland, meanwhile, faded out of the race. The Guardians finished 76-86, and 2023 became the end of Terry Francona's managerial run there. It was a weird transition year. Not a collapse from a powerhouse. More like a team that couldn't quite generate enough offense. to support the thing it wanted to be. And for Valdez personally, the rest of 2023 was complicated. He remained important and he remained dangerous, but the postseason was rough. In the ALCS against Texas, he didn't control the series the way Houston needed him to control it. That's part of the full portrait. Framber's brilliance is real, but it's always lived next to volatility. Since then, he's kept being Framber. In 2024, he very nearly threw another no-hitter against the Rangers, losing it with 2 outs in the ninth on a Corey Seager home run. That's gross, disgusting. That's nasty. Yuck. Just 1 out away from doing it again against the in-state rival, then Seager turns it into a completely different memory. That's a shame, isn't it? 2025, Valdez gives Houston another heavy workload, 192 innings, 187 strikeouts, 3.66 earned run average. He also tied an Astros record with an 83-pitch complete game against Tampa Bay. And that's very on brand. Framber at his best doesn't just beat you, he gets everybody home early. After 2025, he left Houston in free agency and signed with the Detroit Tigers. And that's still strange to say out loud. Framber Valdez, Detroit Tiger. But that's the arc now, from late signing Astros project to World Series champion to no-hit author to one of the big free agent arms brought in to help Detroit chase October. So Astro 55 is not a career-ending tribute. It's a freeze frame. This is the night where Framber Valdez gave Houston the cleanest possible version of himself. Not the loudest or the strangest, just the cleanest. Next up, we move to Blue 6. Vladimir Tarasenko, October 2nd, 2022. That's a different kind of episode because Tarasenko with the Blues is never just about one game. It's about stardom, injury, loyalty, frustration, repair, and the weird sadness of watching a great player approach the end of his time in the uniform where he became himself. And that's next time. For now, this was Astro 55. Framber Valdez took the mound on trade deadline day, just hours after the Astros brought back Justin Verlander. Somehow, he made that the second biggest pitching story in Houston. 93 pitches, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, erased. 27 batters faced, the first left-handed no-hitter in Astros history. A 2-0 win over Cleveland. I'm Kevin. This is Sports Lab 100. Stay kind, keep moving, and I'll see you for Blue 6. Thanks for watching.